Welcome to Soulful Success by Design, the podcast for women who are done playing small, done following the rules, and ready to create success on their own terms. I'm Kendra Woods, a soul-aligned business mentor, 6'2" splenic projector, and the midwife to women's breakthroughs. For nearly a decade, I've been guiding ambitious women like you to step out of old paradigms of success and step fully into your next evolution through the art of human design, mindset, quantum energetics, and identity work. Here, we treat business like what it truly is, a sacred, creative process, a place to embody your becoming. So if you're ready to rise, ready to rewire how you think about success, and ready to lead from your soul, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to Soulful Success by Design. So today we're talking about something that I see often in high-level soul-led entrepreneurs, seen it in myself, and that is energetic fatigue. And this is such an important conversation because energetic fatigue is more than being tired. This is about the subtle but very real ways that we leak energy in our thoughts, in our emotions, our habits, and even in the way that we lead our businesses. So I want you to think of it like this. You can have the most beautiful, high-performing car, but if there's a small leak in your tire, it doesn't matter how powerful the engine is, right? Because you're not going to get very far. And that's what energetic fatigue does to us as businesswomen and CEOs. It slows us down, makes us feel heavy, and sabotages our ability to grow into that next level of our leadership and business. And so today, I'm going to have this conversation with you to help you name it, understand it, and most importantly, start plugging those leaks so that you can lead from a place of grounded, sustainable power. So let's talk about what this is specifically. When I talk about energetic fatigue, I'm not just talking about being tired. Okay, I'm talking about what happens when your mind, body, and spirit are running in chronic overdrive and can't replenish itself at the same rate with which you are expending the energy. And so it can look like always feeling on and like you can't fully rest, right? So it's that feeling of, I've noticed this before in my experience when I've been on vacation, where it's like it takes me like 2 days to fully just feel myself exhale and relax, right? So it's like just feeling on all the time and like you can't fully rest. It can look like overthinking every decision in your business. It can look like saying yes when your soul and your gut is screaming no. It can look like feeling resentful of your work because it's taking more than it's giving. And I've seen this so much, right? Where business women are like, okay, I'm putting in all this work in my business. I'm doing all the things and nothing's happening, or it's not working, or, you just start feeling this resentment where you feel like your business is taking more from you than it's actually giving back to you. And my personal favorite of how this can look is you keep working harder, but it feels like you're moving through quicksand. Okay, so like raise your hand if it sounds familiar, because this is your system telling you that something is leaking. And to take this even deeper, I want to share with you from a biological perspective what's really happening. And when I learned this, it was eye-opening. Okay, it was eye-opening, and it led me to the deeper work that I got certified in last year around nervous system regulation and just subconscious reprogramming and things like that. So when you are leaking energy and you have all these energetic leaks, from a biological perspective, here's what's really happening. Number one, your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. And this is not a good place to be. I remember a few years ago, I went to see a naturopathic doctor, and it was around the same time that I was working with my functional medicine practitioner. And This doctor did something, I don't know what you call it. There's a name for it, but she looked in my eyes and she was able to look into the irises of my eyes to really tell me and inform me of the functioning of my body. And so she did what she needed to do and looked what she needed to look, and she made notes and all that. And she shared with me what she saw. But the bottom line, I will never forget what she said to me. She said, Kendra, you are literally stuck in survival mode. Like your body is stuck in fight or flight mode. And that really shook me. Okay. Because when you're constantly on overgiving, overthinking, overperforming, your body shifts into sympathetic dominance, right? That fight or flight. And so in this state, your system is wired for survival, not growth. And so your energy gets funneled towards getting through instead of creating, resting, expanding. And I get it. Like, this is a frustrating place to be. And it feels really counterintuitive to do what it takes to move your body out of that state. And it feels counterintuitive because, again, your mind is like on hyperdrive, like, no, I can't slow down. What do you mean slow down? What do you mean go rest? It's kind of stuck in that loop, right? Here's what else is happening from a biological perspective when you've got all these energy leaks. Stress hormones take the wheel. And so being stuck in this mode, it keeps your cortisol and your adrenaline elevated. And I won't go deep into this, but like when I think about human design, like my root center and is defined in human design. So I'm quite naturally already have like this pressure of stress and adrenaline just kind of coursing through my body, right? So if you could imagine if you're someone like that, that's already there for you. And then on top of it, you just extend that even more. It's like that is a recipe for, it's just a recipe for a lack of growth and for frustration. So in this mode, cortisol and adrenaline are elevated. So in short bursts, that's useful. That's useful for us in short bursts. But when it becomes your baseline, okay, this is when we run into an issue because it creates that familiar feeling of like wired but tired feeling. It disrupts your sleep and it eventually leaves you feeling foggy, feeling depleted, like you're pressing the gas pedal with the parking brake on. Not a good feeling. The other thing that happens biologically is your brain is overloaded. So I know I'm getting all like biological and sciencey on you here, but I wanted to understand this for myself as I've been moving through this journey. And so I got the help I needed, did the research. And so I want to share this with you because I'm pretty sure that you want to know the why underneath it too, right? So, okay, the third thing that's happening is your brain's overloaded. So the prefrontal cortex, right, which is right in between your eyebrows, is the part of your brain that's responsible for decision making. That part literally burns through glucose and oxygen when you're in the constant loops of should I, shouldn't I, right? When you're in the overthinking. And over time, this leads to decision fatigue. And that mental heaviness can make even the simple choices feel monumental. And for me, one of those simple choices that would come up when I've found myself in this state is the question, what's for dinner? And I mean, y'all, I'm being serious. That one question, if I'm in this space where I'm leaking energy, can just send me like reeling. I'm like, what do you mean, what's for dinner? Right? Because my brain is just overloaded. And so maybe you felt like that too, where it feels like just the simplest decisions, the simplest questions leave you feeling like you just can't take another step. Okay. And so here's the thing, these small leaks that you've been tolerating, the overgiving, the misaligned yeses, the constant comparison, they're not minor. They're keeping your nervous system in a state of hypervigilance. And that's even why small tasks can feel monumental when your energy is leaking. So, in short, energetic fatigue is your system literally waving the red flag. It's your body saying, hello, we can't keep operating like this. But the good news is that when you start to plug those leaks and give your nervous system permission to reset, everything begins to change. Your cortisol lowers, your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest part of your system kicks in. Your brain frees up space for creativity, problem solving, and long-term visioning. Okay. It's so imagine, and maybe you can relate to this. When I travel or go on vacation, oh my gosh, the I can while I'm on vacation and then when I get back home, inspiration is just flowing through, right? Because I've allowed my body to move into that rest and digest. And so then the way that I look at this now is, all right, how do I get to do this on a daily basis? Not just when I go on vacation, not just when it's the holidays, but how can I begin to incorporate this as part of my success strategy in my life? Yeah. And so this is why tending to your energy just isn't about this fluffy idea of self-care. It is leadership. It is self-leadership. It's physiological, it's strategic, and it's also the foundation for building the kind of business you can sustain and actually enjoy. And here's the thing. I'm gonna be real honest with you. As a soul-led CEO, you don't have the luxury of ignoring it because your energy is your business. When you are energetically fatigued, you can't hold the frequency of the next level that you're stepping into. You can't make clear decisions. You can't magnetize the opportunities or clients that you're waiting for. And this is why this conversation is so important because addressing this changes everything. So I want to go back really quick to the car analogy that I mentioned. So imagine that you have a luxury car, your business, and the engine, that's your strategy. The interior of the car, that's your brand. And the gas, that's your inspiration and your ideas. Okay. But if there's an air leak in your tires, even a small one, the car is going to drive sluggish, inefficient, off balance. You'll need to push harder just to go the same distance. And so that's exactly what's happening with energetic fatigue. You might be doing all the right things, posting, launching, serving your clients, podcasting, speaking on other people's platforms. But if you've got leaks in your energy, you're burning way more fuel than necessary. And eventually, what happens? We know what happens, right? You break down. But we're not here for that. I'm not here for that. You're not here for that. You're not building this business and life that you dream about to white knuckle it, right? You're here to build something that feels like home, which means you've got to start plugging your energy leaks. So let's actually name some of these energy leaks and let's go deeper into what's underneath them. These are the most common energy leaks that I see in soul-led CEOs and businesswomen. Number one is overgiving without boundaries. You say yes to every collaboration, every client, every opportunity, even when your gut says no. And I can think back on many experiences where I've done this, right? And trying to grow the business, I want to work with the clients. Oh yes, being on that summit sounds great. Let me do it. Even when my spleen was like, no, no, and no. Okay. So what's that about? Why do we do that? What I want you to understand is it's rooted in fear of loss and lack. The belief that opportunities are scarce, the belief that, oh, if I don't say yes to this opportunity, then another one may not come along. The fear that if you don't over deliver, people will leave or think that you're not enough. I learned this in how I would show up in my master classes, right? I would create so much content. I mean, I would have pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. And I would, spend hours and hours and hours like preparing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare, but like I was doing this because there was that fear and that scarcity coursing through me like, okay, I have got to like blow people's minds. I have got to over deliver. Otherwise, What are they going to think? I don't want them to walk away and think that, um, and feel like they didn't get what they came for, that kind of thing. And that's just thinking that's not going to help you grow. And I've had to learn that. Okay. And that's why I wanted to share this with you. So, the number two energy leak I see is poor energetic hygiene. What does that mean? You take on your client's emotions. You scroll endlessly on social media or stay around people who drain you. Listen, y'all know I'm a projector. I am a projector. I've got two centers defined, my root and my spleen center. I am so energetically sensitive. And I'm telling you, I had a light bulb moment a few years ago where I realized that even me, so like, here's what I would do. I would say, okay, let's say it's a Tuesday or a Thursday. Those are the days that I have my client sessions. And so I would have my calls that day. I would serve, I would pour out, I would coach. And then I would say, okay, I need to reset my energy. I need to go disconnect my energy. I need to go clean my energy. I need to go lay down, right? And so I would go on my sofa and I would just kind of, lay down for a bit. And then and while I'm doing that, I'd be scrolling through social media. And before long, I realized, okay, Kendra, wait. You're laying here trying to discharge energy and replenish yourself, but you're on social media and you're still taking in the energy of other people. You see what I'm saying? Or being in rooms with people who drain you. Like that became a really big non-negotiable for me, especially this year. Where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be in rooms that don't feel good to me. Not doing it anymore. I don't care what the opportunity may look like. If it does not feel good to me, if I walk away, my energy feels drained, not doing it. I have separated myself from people who drain my energy, even in my own family, right? And it's not saying that I just cut people off, but it's like I've learned how to raise my standards around my energetic hygiene. So when we do this, when you take on your client's emotions, scroll endlessly in social media and stay around people who drain you, that's rooted in a fear of disconnection. It's the belief that you have to be constantly available or tuned in to be valuable. And so it's a lack of trust that you can, it's this feeling of like you can't trust that you can step back without losing relevance. And I think too, this also feeds into this whole mindset of with social media as a business owner where some coaches will teach like you've got to be on, some social media, you got to show up, you got to keep posting, and people hear that and you don't trust that you can post once and get off the platform because you feel like, oh, if I'm not available, if I'm not tuned in, then it's not working. And that can overlap and that can cause a lot of energy drainage from you. And so it is trusting that you can go on these platforms, you can post your content, you can make your video, you can do whatever you need to do, and you can get off knowing that the energy that you put out there, it is still working while you are tending to your energy. Okay. The third energy leak, and we've talked about this a little bit already, is decision fatigue. So you're stuck in the constant, should I do this? Should I not do this loops? Second guessing every single move. And this is so tiresome, right? Because if you just think about the energy that you are expending mentally when you sit and ruminate and think about this idea that came through, maybe you got this idea that came through, and you're like, yes, that sounds so good. It sounds exciting. You feel lit up by it. But instead of moving with it, you allow yourself to go into that loop of, well, what if it doesn't work? Should I do this? Maybe it's not the most strategic thing that I should do. Let me go see what others are doing. Let me go ask my coach. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to put effort in this and then it doesn't work out. I don't want to create something and then it doesn't sell. Like you go into all of these different loops and your mental energy is just leaking, leaking, leaking. And what's this rooted in? This is rooted in the fear of making the wrong choice. It's a lack of trust in your own authority and trying to control outcomes instead of surrendering to aligned timing. Another energy leak is creating misaligned offers. And so maybe you create programs or services because you think you should, not because they light you up. Okay. So think about this. Think about what you've created, and are you pushing something out there that really you're just like, nah, this doesn't light me up? Or maybe it once did. Maybe it lit you up in the past, but now you've grown and you've evolved, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I don't want to teach that anymore. And, but you still keep talking about it and putting it out there. That right there, so that's rooted in the fear of not being enough as you are. The belief that you have to follow the industry rules to succeed. It's scarcity thinking. If I don't do this, I won't make money. Okay. And that, let's talk about this for a second, because this is a big deal that comes up when you are elevating in your business. And I've seen this and I've experienced this. As you get to next level in your business, there are some things that you can't take with you. And the thought becomes, oh my gosh, this has gotten me to where I am. I recognize that it's not going to take me to where I want to go. But if I let go of this thing, what if I then don't make the same amount of money? Or what if my income dries up? What if, oh gosh, what if I have to build a whole new audience? Like we go into this this doom loop of thinking about what could happen if we make that quantum leap that we're being called to make. And so what we want to work on here is, again, it comes back to trusting ourselves. It comes to trusting your journey. It comes to trusting the next evolution that wants to move through you. Another energy leak is ignoring your body's signals. You push through exhaustion, you skip rest, or you numb with food, or overwork, or alcohol, or you numb with TV. And this is rooted in the fear of slowing down, a belief that your worth is tied to your productivity. And this is a big one for us ambitious CEO ladies, right? Because it's a tricky thing that happens. And this, for me, I know that this association came together for me in the corporate space because at one point I did tie my worth to my productivity because it was like in the corporate world, your productivity, your performance, it was tied to your bonus that year, right? It was tied to your ability to be eligible for a promotion. And so it's very easy to entangle your worth with your productivity. And when we do that, we start ignoring the wisdom of our body. And we begin to move into this lack mindset around time that says, if I rest, I'll fall behind. If I rest, I'll fall behind. And that doesn't feel good. And it keeps you hyped up and hyper vigilant and in that loop. But I'm sharing these energy leaks with you all because listen, when you can understand them and you can see what they're rooted in, then you have awareness, number one, which is the key to everything, awareness. And then two, what begins to happen is you can then make the decision to interrupt the pattern. You see? All right, so another energy leak is self-comparison and urgency. You leak energy by constantly checking where you stack up or believing you're behind. And so this is you looking not in your lane, but looking in the lane next to you, in the lane to your right, in the lane to your left, looking in the lane behind you, and checking where everyone else is and seeing how you measure up to where they are. And I know that our ego would never let us raise our hand and say, yeah, I do that. But we know we do it, right? We do it when we're on Instagram, looking at another person's profile or looking at another coach that's in our industry that's, teaching or coaching on the same thing. And we look at what she's created and how she's doing, and then we look at what we've done and we go, "Oh goodness. Okay, she got to six figures like in 2 years. I should have been there already." Or, "Oh wow, like she's been in business for 4 years and she's already at seven figures in her business. I've been in business for 9 years. Why am I not there yet?" Right? Energy is leaking all over the place. Your power is leaking all over the place. And this is rooted in obviously the fear of not measuring up and a belief that success is a race. It is not. And y'all have heard me say this before. Like, that is a mantra that I repeat to myself: Kendra, run your own race, right? It's rooted in operating from lack instead of trusting your unique timeline and path. So, do you see the pattern? Do you see the pattern? Almost every energy leak that I shared with you ties back to some version of fear and lack: fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of slowing down, fear of not being enough. And when fear is in the driver's seat, your energy will always get drained. But when you decide to say, "You know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to acknowledge the red flag that my body is throwing up," and you say, "Okay, I'm going to plug those leaks." When you start making decisions from trust, sufficiency, and alignment, you reclaim your power. And your energy becomes a renewable resource instead of something that's constantly being siphoned out of you. So I want to pause for a second and give you a moment to reflect. I want you to think about these questions. If you're driving, pause the podcast after I share these reflection questions with you. If you're out walking or doing whatever, just pause after these questions and just check in with yourself. I want you to ask yourself, where am I saying yes when my body is actually saying no? Where am I operating from fear of being left behind or fear of not being good enough? And what would it look like to make whatever the decision is you need to make from trust instead? Just pause the podcast and just sit with these questions for a moment. These questions are simple, but they'll reveal exactly where your energy is leaking. And as I just said, awareness is the first step to plugging those leaks. So let's talk about how a soul-led CEO like you navigates energetic fatigue. So how do we fix this? How do we address this? First, we acknowledge it, which is what we're doing right now here today. And I would invite you to acknowledge this within yourself. Energetic fatigue is not a badge of honor. It is a signal that something in your business or in your life or in you needs recalibrating. Second, we regulate and we replenish. And here are some ways that you can do that. Daily nervous system care. I want you to think breath work, EFT tapping, yin yoga, or even like a 2-minute body scan. Your nervous system is the foundation of your energy. You could, again, create strong boundaries. So start saying no to what doesn't light you up or isn't aligned with your next level. Simplify your decisions. This is where, again, human design for me comes in. Use your human design authority or your intuition as your compass to stop the constant overthinking. This has been so nourishing for me, especially this year, of just leaning deeper into my authority. I'm a splenic authority, and just really just trusting my spleen more and moving. When I get that hit, do it. Go move. Right? Like I feel lighter when I choose to trust myself and trust my authority. Audit your offers. If something feels heavy, ask, does this truly serve me and my clients? Or am I doing it from a place of obligation because it's how I've always done things? Clean your inputs, limit social media, curate who you follow. I started doing this years ago. I would hear people say, social media just drains me, or I hate all the things that are coming across my feed. It just feels so, doesn't feel good. It feels so negative. It feels this and feels that. And I would tell people, you do know that it's your newsfeed. You can decide who you're following and what comes through, right? The algorithm is showing you what it thinks you want to see. So why don't you start telling it what you want to see? Okay. Unfollow people who don't make you feel good. I do this often. So curate who you follow and intentionally spend time with people who energize you. And this is why, too, I love being. Y'all have heard me talk about the high level mastermind that I joined this year. And it's one of the reasons why I love being in spaces like that because it energizes me. I'm around like other businesswomen and CEOs who are making bold moves, who are, expanding themselves, who are growing, who are taking leaps and jumps. And yes, they feel nervous and all that, but they're still doing it anyways. That energizes me. And then I want you to also start prioritizing rest like revenue because your business will only ever be as healthy as you are. This is how a soul-led, heart-centered businesswoman CEO operates. She plugs the leaks. She replenishes herself. She protects her energy like it's her most valuable asset, like it is her job. Because it is. All right. And so here's the thing. You don't need more strategy. You need more capacity. When you stop leaking energy, you don't just feel better, you lead better. You make sharper decisions. You magnetize opportunities. You step into the next level of your business with more ease and less grind. And this is exactly the kind of work that we do inside of my Soul Aligned experiences, my high level private mentorship container for soul led entrepreneurs who are ready to align with their energetic blueprint, embody their truth, and build a business that feels like home. Okay. So if this episode hit something in you and you're shaking your head, you're like, yes, yes, yes. And this is kind of lighting you up. If you're ready to stop operating from depletion and start leading from your soul, I want to invite you to apply for one of the mentorship spaces in my Soul Aligned experience. I will put the link in the show notes, or you can DM me over on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design, and we can talk about what this could look like for you. And then also, I want to invite you to one more thing. If you want behind the scenes access to my 90 days of magnetic momentum, this journey that I'm going on, that I've been on. I started July 1st, and I'm sharing all the behind the scenes and updates with my community. You can join my free community over on Facebook called Soul Aligned Success. I will leave the link for that as well. All right. Okay. So remember, your energy is everything. Protect it, nurture it, and watch your business transform. All right. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design, or visit my website at KendraKWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.